take a motion to approve the meetings minutes from August.
I'll second.
Mic up, Dick.
Wow, Pam said to keep it off, so.
Sorry, I'm not keeping up here. Second is Polta.
Treasurer's report.
All right, for the treasurer's report, if you're in person, it's the last page in your printed packet. And then Pam will also pull it up on the screen. Starting at the top, the beginning balance in our checking was $149,128, less our expenses of $22,000. And then you can see our additions of revenue at $264,557 is much larger than normal. And this is because we transferred $250,000 from our UBS investment account into our 4M checking account, so that it's available to pay for those road repairs on Pioneer and 99th when those bills come due. So that gives you a total balance in your checking of $391,000. And then our UBS accounts right now are at $227,473. Again, that number is lower than if you look at last month because we transferred that money into checking. So total assets for the township are $618,829. And then moving down to expenses in the middle of the page, our expenses were $16,000 higher in 2024, and this is due to two different road projects. The first being Pioneer and 99th, paying for some SEH engineering costs, as well as grading the gravel portion of Pioneer, and we hired Rumpka for that. And then if you look at our revenues year over year, I kind of talked about it above already, but our revenues year over year were $267,000 higher, and the biggest piece of that is the transfer of the $250,000 for our road improvement projects. And then two other items. Last year at this time, we returned unused escrow funds to a resident for $9,000. And the timing of the gravel tax was slightly different. We received it in July last year and August this year. Then looking down at the very, very bottom of the page on the left, our year-to-date surplus is $293,602. And again, $250,000 of that is going to be the transfer of that money. But that means you still have about a $43,000 surplus due to less snow and different things like that. So.
Thank you, Keisha. Motion to approve that.
Make a motion to approve treasurer's report.
I'll second that.
Pay the bills.
We gotta vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to pay bills 142 through 160 for a total of $7,472.16.
I'll second that.
I had one question with that. Just the legal fees, was that all from the aggregate stuff? Is that where most of those stem from?
Where the Johnson.
Yeah, from them just asking us to get representation and all that stuff, and we had to reach out to our attorney?
They actually gives us a breakdown, and I can tell you what it was for.
I was just saying if it is that, then we should flag it and we should add it onto our permit fees at the end of the year, if it is. If we ever get a permit from it.
Johnson Turner. So the general is 486, and it says review of the correspondence regarding Wholesome, call regarding Wholesome, communications regarding solar, correspondence, some more solar stuff, and ordinance moratorium samples to clerk. So
Yeah.
that's what that was for.
All right. Maybe we'll think about that when we do the permit. Any other questions on the bills?
The legal fees, can we get a breakdown?
That's what she just gave us.
Can we get a breakdown in writing?
I can send you the invoice.
There you go. Well, I'd like to know what we're paying on the legal fees, like you just went through each little thing.
Just how much for each deal?
How much per hour you mean or something?
No, you know,
For solar and then for Wholesome. you're
yeah,
talking
how much,
each-
how much
each
did we
area.
Yeah, I
pay
can
for
send you
solar, and how
the
much in that?
invoice.
Of all, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, just that way we can keep track of what Wholesome's costing us, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
All right, reports, committees, events. There's no one from the planning commission. I'm sitting here, but I'm not. Yeah, were you, Dick, did you go? Do you wanna give a quick brief or no?
Not really, they're not real happy with me.
Eduardo did send an email.
Yep.
But one of the planning commissioners was supposed to read it.
I can give you a synopsis of it, I guess. I don't have the minutes in front of me. We had two IUPs in front of us, one for Freddie and one for Patrick, and they forwarded the Patrick one on for approval. The other one, they deemed was incomplete, and they decided not to deny or approve at this time. They just, that's all they did with it. And what else? Then it was brought up and they got mad at me. I told them, I said, well, what if Freddie shows up at the meeting and has his paperwork? Because at the meeting, nobody complained about anything Freddie was doing, but yet nobody brought any recommendations for things they would want him to do either. It was pretty much mute. The whole thing was about he didn't fill out the paperwork the way they wanted it. And I said, well, if he shows up with the paperwork at the town board meeting, you know, and it's appropriate, we could possibly approve it. Well, they didn't like that, sent out a nasty gram about it. But anyway, Freddie's not here either, so that was about it. Pam, you were there, that was, oh, then I brought up fees, because me and Pam were talking. We found out by state law, we have to justify what we charge for fees. We can't just say, we want $300 for an IUP or $500 for this or that. You have to be able to justify your charges. The charges shouldn't be more than what it costs you to do it. Okay, and I said, well, I was gonna bring it up at this meeting, and, well, that went over like a lead balloon. Their consensus at the end from a bunch of them was, no, we wanna keep the fees high to have extra money to prosecute people that are not code compliant, use the money for that. Well, so that went over like a lead balloon, and that was about it, that was it.
Alright, thanks. Next planning commission meeting is October 7th, Monday, 6:30. Next town board meeting, Wednesday, October 9th at 7 p.m. We do not have any other meetings that month that I know of. Unfinished business, you wanna do that one, Dick?
You wanna do Patrick first, as long as
Yeah,
he's here,
we
then you
can,
don't
yeah.
have to wait?
Yeah, I mean, everything looks good. Need a-
I can talk about that. Patrick came to the planning commission for his interim use permit. As far as I know, we've had no complaints on him. Everything is fairly quiet around there. And the planning commission recommended approval of Patrick's interim use permit. So
I would
by
make
that,
it,
no, go ahead. By that, I'll make a motion to approve his interim use permit.
okay, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Patrick. So I want to see if I hear on there. Thanks for doing that. Appreciate you showing up.
Yeah,
Yes, appreciate that.
Good.
Big time.
yeah, good job of filling that out.
All
Very
right,
appreciate it. Very good job.
we'll hop back to the road stick. You're gonna do that quote, or you want me to?
Sure.
You got it?
Let's see, got two different things here. We
The
got,
quote and the
Yeah.
memorandum.
let me tell people what happened. We've had potholes, which a lot of the residents know, and they've been quite patient. We were gonna fix them last year. Well, the potholes are basically on 105th Street and Great Cloud Island Drive. We were gonna do them last year. What happened is, we contacted an outfit to do them. Then we decided, well, why spend the money on Pioneer, because that had a whole bunch of them. We would see how much it cost to repave Pioneer, maybe we'd repave it instead of spending money on potholes, which that was ended up being our decision. So then the guy that was gonna fill the potholes, first we told him to do them all, then we told him not to do them all, then we told him to do some other ones, and basically he never showed up. I don't think he's too thrilled with us. So we're sitting there with the potholes. Okay. So this year, I'm going through St. Paul Park, I see their crew filling potholes. I wonder if I can get them to come and fill our potholes. Let me back up just a little bit. We have trouble getting people to come down here and do work, because it's such small amounts of work. We don't have people stand in line to come down and fill 25 potholes. So anyway, I talked to the guys, I said, we'll see Public Works Director. I went and see him. Well, this was like in the first part of August. He said, well, we can't do them till September. Well, I'd been there for a year and a half already. So anyway, by golly, he got back to me yesterday, and he come down and looked at it. And he gave us a price, well, here, what he put in his email was, we'd get, it's not in this quote, but I think he said 3 tons of blacktop, come down, fill the holes. And he said there was more holes than what you showed me, wrote down. He said, we'll use the excess material to fill them holes. So anyway, his total cost, just from St. Paul Park, is $2,815.10. He didn't say when he'd do them, but I was kind of surprised he got back to me, because after the tree storm, the windstorm, they were quite busy, but he did, so. I'm happy with that price. I don't think we can get anybody else to do it cheaper, and to try and get a price from somebody to go around, mark them, and do this, do that. You're basically getting somebody time and material anyway. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve St. Paul Park's quote for $2,815.10.
Yeah, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Thanks for getting that
thanks,
quote.
Dick.
And you second
Thank you,
it?
Dick.
May I?
Thanks for
may I
that.
say, make a comment towards that?
Yep.
I
Sure.
don't remember what the particular word is, but,
Can we,
stand up.
yeah, could you actually come to the,
Introduce yourself, please?
My name is Ruben Mozoff Jr. I grew up on Great Cloud Island and St. Paul Park, bouncing back and forth between my parents' house here on Great Cloud and my grandparents' house. And I learned a number of years ago that my parents bought a plot for my wife Rena and myself, Ruben Mozoff Jr., in the cemetery. I know I'm not a resident, but,
Mozart?
Mozoff, yeah.
Mozart.
Junior, Mausoff and Junior. Now, what's relevant about this is when I was a teenager living on Great Cloud Island, Glenn Lucia used to be in charge of filling in potholes. Back then, the township started over by the junkyard and ended where it ends right now.
Yeah.
I believe it still ends right below Copel's Hill.
Yeah, yep.
I used, for like one season, I helped Glenn fill the potholes. What we did and how he did it, and it probably still would probably cheaper than maybe your quote, but we used to get the tar or the asphalt from where the Holiday used to get their the part of the oil refinery, but it's not right by the big oil refinery. It's down a little bit more towards 494, where we would take a pickup truck, and if you have a 2-ton pickup truck, it's better to use a 2-ton pickup truck to fill that up. And I could probably do it for whatever the cost of, if you people would have to supply the pickup truck or whatnot. But we were using like a tamper.
Yeah.
And back then I was like 18, 19 years old, and you could go like that. I understand the heart, I do have a stent in my heart, but I need exercise. And the only time I have problems with that is if I'm carrying something that's a bit heavy at like chest level.
Yeah,
And my heart issue is from the side effect of pharma, big pharma or whatnot. I
Okay.
don't want to get into that. But I can offer services because I am looking for a job. I have been back in town recently looking for a place to live and looking for a job. And I'm not saying it could be a permanent job or whatnot, but at least it would be a means of, I grew up in this area. I have the experience of filling up the potholes. Back then it was a larger township, but at least I'm capable of, I can still take like a flat shovel, and that's basically all you need. You don't even need to use the big tampers that we used back then. But basically, if you have the proper asphalt, you can put it in the back of a pickup truck, take a scoop, fill it in, and then tap it. And that, I have no health issues with that, but it would save the township a lot of money compared to having like the professional, if you want to say they're professionals or whatnot.
yeah,
And I don't know what township ordinances as far as subcontracting people, but my wife, when I learned about my health condition, my wife's side of the family was helping me try to start a legitimate business here in Minnesota, and I did register that with the state of Minnesota back in December of 2022, I believe it was, after I was having a hard time finding a proper job. But since then, I've gotten much stronger, and I'm able and capable to do certain things that are physical. And my point of that being is, if there's any issues, I could use that, they had a travel agency over there. But her income doesn't count with our immigration policies, so that's the issue that I've been having. But the name of the business is still called Ticketing Flights LLC. That is still registered with the state of Minnesota, the EIN. So if there's any issues, I could go Ticketing Flights LLC and put like a subtitle underneath that if there's any issues as far as the township needing particular legalities to put towards hiring somebody that gives you a higher quote, then I would be willing to do that. Because I need the exercise.
yeah,
My heart specialist says I need I need to up the exercise.
So we,
So-
Pam, you write his name down? We got your name, we'll have it for the meeting minutes.
Okay,
We have
okay.
we have a current road boss that kinda does that
Okay.
kinda stuff, and then, I mean, we can keep you in
Okay,
mind if something
okay.
comes up.
Yeah, and whatever a fair wage you would, to me,
We-
fair enough.
So the township has
Yeah, or
hired,
whatever
we,
your
yeah,
budget is or whatnot to put like time and hours. I would think just
We-
Pioneer Road,
we currently don't have a spot for that right now. We currently
Okay.
have, it's not, it's a
Okay.
filled position right now for what we
yeah,
have,
okay.
so,
And I don't even know if you can still get the asphalt from that particular spot.
yeah, no,
Or
yep,
by where that part of Ashland Oil or,
Yeah.
what is it, Marathon Oil now or whatever.
yeah, yep.
But,
No, we're gonna, St. Paul Park will take care of our roads, and then, yeah, we do have a
Okay,
filled position,
okay.
it
So
comes
can
available
I-
every now and then, but, yeah, she's got your name, so we
Yeah.
we have
and you
it.
need a telephone number in case if you, or email?
Sure, but I'll get it from you after the meeting, is that okay?
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Privately?
Okay, sure, you betcha. Okay, thank you. I'll just,
Well, here,
go ahead. When do you
Alright.
plan on getting off? Because I'll let you go
Here,
get some
just-
pictures done by
can
then.
you write it down?
Yeah, okay.
Are you Bonnie's husband?
I would be her oldest son.
Oh,
And
you're,
there's also Troy.
oh, you're okay, all right, okay.
Just hang on one sec here, yeah. Is it about roads?
Is it about roads?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Roads? You sure, Mo?
Yeah, I'm a resident on 99th Street, Tracy, for those who don't know me. And I noticed my neighbor put in some property markers. Surveyors call them PK nails. They mark property, they're in the cul-de-sac at the east end of 99th Street. So I'm wondering if those are going to be reestablished or if I have to tie them out myself.
No, we have road work being redone.
You have what?
We have a new road being put in there.
Yeah, so.
You
that
can't
would-
touch any of the staking or surveying, don't
That
touch
would
any of
probably,
that.
the PK nails are in the asphalt that's gonna be replaced, so that would probably be torn out.
Yeah,
But
and it's,
I'm wondering if it's gonna be reestablished or I have to do that myself.
But what reestablished?
All of these property markers are
Property markers.
what surveyors call PK nails, they pound them into the asphalt.
We would have no idea what, I was down there today and I seen what you're talking about. We'd have no idea what them are. They're around the end of your driveways and I got no idea who put them in. It has nothing to do with the repaving the 99th. So I mean, we can't answer your question because we don't know who put them in, why they're in or anything.
Okay,
You
well,
don't think they came in, it's, I didn't look at it. If you've
No,
seen
I
it,
don't think it has anything to do with
does the
surveying the
contractor
road.
be starting
'Cause
soon?
they were put in privately.
Yeah,
By the neighbors,
yeah, so that's
but I don't wanna
between you and
lose
your
them,
neighbor.
cause I use them. And, so I'll have to apparently establish them myself again.
Yeah, that's a,
Reestablish them.
That'd be a thing.
that's
I've
a
got
thing,
surveying
that's a thing,
experience.
that's a thing between neighbors, a civil thing, not township business really.
But what if the new road takes them out or covers them up?
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
He'll have
Well,
to-
if they're in the middle of the road, they shouldn't be there anyway, and there might only be one
There's two for sure.
right
How
out in the
far
middle.
up the road are they?
They're on the asphalt, about 10 feet from the edge of the pavement.
If they're on the asphalt, they'll be removed,
That's, I'm sure they will be. So,
so they're not gonna put them back.
okay, I'll have to do it myself then. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. Okay, second one I got, another road thing. Okay, we had a meeting with Cottage Grove, and there's a handful of us that were talking about the road. And on this dunes thing, racial development thing, they have to block off that road for a while down where the creek is, down where the low spot is on Great Cloud Trail. And why that's blocked off, the residents that live over there have to come this way. And she didn't say, city administrator didn't say how long that would be, we're thinking a week or two. Okay, so that traffic's gonna come this way, no Wholesome trucks, in fact, Wholesome, with their annual permit, they can't run trucks this way anyway out of there. But anyway, she said, no trucks, just be the residents. And we didn't know this, she said, we have to pay you by state law for doing that, for using your road. And she made the comment, it ain't much, she said, okay. So anyway, I got to thinking, on the inside of the curb down here, that shoulder needs to be fixed. It needs gravel along the shoulder all the way around there. And I wonder if instead of getting the money, if they would just come down Public Works and do that shoulder for us. And they agreed to that, so I think it's a fair offer in trade with the two of them. So they sent us a memorandum of understanding that the three of us got in front of it.
Should go on, we got a
Well,
guy
so
we
we
could
need to
hire.
go back to the talking about the
Too soon?
asphalt, did you guys already do pardon me, did you already do a motion about the Signal Park pothole?
Yeah, we approved.
Yep,
all
that's
that
done.
stuff. Voted. Dick made the motion, Phil seconded.
Got it, sorry,
Yeah, no.
I wrote it down, okay.
So do we need a motion on that, Dick, or do we just need to sign it? suppose we should
Well,
still do a
let's do a motion. I'll make a motion to accept this memorandum of understanding between Great Cloud and Cottage Grove.
I'll second.
Can
All
I
in
ask
favor?
what the dollar amount was? Did they
Uh,
give us a dollar amount?
They figured about $400.
Okay.
We're gonna make out like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
It's like 0.05 cents a mile.
yeah, it's hardly anything. I think they're not making money on it, we're not making money on it. It's, because they certainly can't come down here and do it cheaper than their costs. Their residents would be up in arms, so. I think it's just fair. I mean, and the big thing, if we went to do that ourselves, it would probably cost, what, Dan, $2,000-3,000 at least. Because most contractors don't want to deal with that little mess, as were your public works people, especially Cottage Grove. Cottage Grove's got a good public works department. They have the shouldering machine they clamp onto the back of a truck and a roller, and they can do it really fast and really easy. In fact, so,
So, in the past, when they've ever closed that road, we were supposed to be getting reimbursed?
I don't,
This is
we,
only for Rachel Bellman.
Okay, so in the future, this is
I-
just for this time
I
period,
think
right?
that, yeah,
Just
just
depends
this
the reason.
time,
And they know that,
yeah.
okay.
Due to Rachel Bellman.
Yeah, I can't, you know, kind of along your question there, you know, other times like when the road's flooded or the bridge is closed or whatever, I don't know, that's like we don't know which statute it is either where they have to pay us.
We should find that out.
Yeah, we didn't even know until they gave us a thing. I think it has to do with, it might have something to do with, they had a choice. They could not block the road off or not close it down, which would have cost them a whole lot more money. So they're creating the detour, and on a natural disaster, they're probably not creating the detour.
Okay,
Yeah.
but
I mean, I'm not sure on that, but,
because I don't think this is gonna be the first time they're gonna shut that road down because of Rachel.
no, I think this probably be it.
That's it.
That's it.
Further plans when we sat through everything.
Yeah, if you go over there, the road's not gonna go down around that curve. Well, you can see if you're over there, it's gonna go straight. So a period of time when they're going between the two, the road will be closed down so they can work.
Well, I'm just thinking of other construction they've done up in Cottage Grove, it takes 10 times longer than they say it's gonna.
I don't, this shouldn't, I mean, it's possible, but,
Okay,
but hey, let's just get back to the thing. I think what they offered us is fair, so.
You gotta say all in favor. I don't know if we voted.
Where the road is
We did.
closed.
We didn't say aye.
They don't
on
have
the
their
last
signs
one.
closing the road completely.
Yeah.
The residents are able to.
Use it on the weekends and just zip.
Just on the weekend.
I don't know.
I
They're
know, I mean, I've
Oh,
gone,
if-
I went through it, and I was like, I don't know, but.
yeah. I've used it.
The only thing I can tell you is, if there's a road closed sign and you go through
They're
it,
not liable.
you're violating the law,
Okay.
you know.
But they-
Everybody does.
They leave it open.
Enough.
Yeah.
Not everybody, I haven't gone there yet.
It actually was closed the other day.
I had to
when
wait for
was
somebody to turn around so I could go through it the other day.
there. Okay.
All right. I think all in favor on that memorandum? Aye.
Aye.
Budget discussion. Do we have more? We approved
I think we
the
approved
annual
the
meeting.
budget.
Thanks to those that showed up. The budget got approved. Oh, well, yeah. That's approved. Do you want to say anything? Good? Good?
Yeah,
We
so
did
we had the
that.
continuation of the annual meeting, at 6:30 this evening. The board approved the proposed budget that was presented in March as is, we didn't have any changes, so.
Thank you. Any other unfinished business?
I don't think so.
Tracy, any other unfinished business?
Not for me.
Well, yeah, we do, how about, we gotta do Freddie's interim use permit.
Yeah, so Patrick's is done.
We're done. We did
Oh,
Patrick.
we ain't down to that
We did,
yet.
yeah, we need to talk about Freddie, what we wanna,
What's that?
I have a real quick one. just
Okay.
regarding
Sure.
the road.
Yep.
Well, we got a notice about working on Pioneer.
from the contractor, yeah.
Right, but it was talking about, you know, the whole Pioneer, and it's, but then it also talked about blacktop, and so we're kinda looking at, cause we live on the stretch that's not blacktop.
Yeah, you're not getting blacked out.
You're gonna stay on the stretch, it's not blacktop.
We're gonna stand on the- Okay, good. Well, I mean, I've talked to the sheriff's department, we've almost gotten flipped about 6 or 7 times because, you know, the signs got put up, they're driving faster.
So are you saying you want the signs down?
No, I wish that the sheriff's department, I see them when I'm coming and going, and I see them parked out here on the road. They're never on that gravel road.
When are they,
They're going through pretty quick, and Mike
Do you
and I
have
almost
that-
gotten flipped a couple
Do you have that,
times coming out.
email with the results? Can we just throw that back? Could you look back? I think we throwed that last month.
I could find that.
If you could find that quick. Cause they had that trailer come out and everything. I mean, that's what, we've had them, they've provided us trailers and I get people probably see them, but
That, you mean the one little sign saying how fast you're going?
no, it registers every car, the number of cars that
yeah,
travel,
that's
everything.
what you're talking about.
Well, okay,
We
but
did that.
but that one thing that registers, that shows you how fast you're going on it, there was never one on the gravel part, it was on the
We
paved
have-
part.
Hang on here.
So how does that help us?
Billy Hastings told me the same thing. He said they're not speeding on that part of it, they're speeding on the gravel part of it. And he wanted to know why we didn't have it up there.
No.
And I told him it's because
Yeah.
So there, I mean, there's.
the residents that
we
were
can hear them.
complaining.
We can see them, we had a pickup almost nail us, and as we were getting out, and we go out of our driveway really slow,
Yeah.
because we had a kid come along and move 2 boulders on either side of our driveway, total car thing. We
Where was
were not
this
happy about
set?
that one. But that sign, that was, the sign is there,
That was down by Eduardo's.
Okay.
but yeah, it's down there, and what does that do for us? They come swirling through there, and then they just did not that long ago. Luckily, whoever, are you still doing it, where you come across and blade it a little every once in a while?
I just did that one time.
Oh, okay, well.
I was over there, I was at the cemetery working and I thought, well, as long as I'm
Yeah.
driving up and down there.
Because we're hearing them and they're, you know, they're doing, and
You know, we,
hoping they hit one of our boulders again, but they haven't done it. But, you know, luckily I don't have,
Man, are you guys-
pets anymore and
Do you guys
whatnot.
call the sheriff pretty regularly?
It doesn't matter if we call. By the time we get out there, we can't.
Well, I get they're
Well,
gone,
there's
but
a
if they
license
get,
number.
yeah.
Yeah, we ran down there
Yeah.
while they were, they were going so fast, oh yeah, we can see all of that.
you know, we, in all honesty, we don't have an answer for you. And we're sitting here tonight and you hear cars going by to
Yeah,
beat hell.
it's squealing, yeah.
We live on Geneva and we hear them stop over there and take off. You can hear the tires squealing, you see the blacktop marks.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody's got the same problem. So I mean,
right, except for that we're, you know, we don't have any squealing. We just end
Yeah.
up with craters.
Yeah.
A lot,
yeah.
They do that a lot.
yeah. And we end up with, you know, and I've got grandkids and whatnot, and a lot of people like to walk that road, and the signs didn't work. But that other thing that was registering, it doesn't register a bloody thing because of the fact that it wasn't on the gravel part.
Now see, your other residents down farther said they went by their house 60 miles an hour.
Wow.
So, you know, I mean,
We'll wait till it gets paved. Yeah,
That has to be worse.
yeah, I had two ladies yelling, so they're 2 different trucks, and one was backed into my driveway, and one was yelling at the other one because well, it's a dead end, and I said, no, it's not a dead end.
Is it like, do you feel it's like worse than, or just has never gotten better, like over the
It's
years?
never gotten better.
Yeah, I mean, cause
We've
like,
had periods of time where
it's like when St.
worse.
Paul Park was down here, was it any, I mean, there was still residents
Oh,
flying,
no,
right?
Well, that's why we just got frustrated. We called them all the time, and they were always really busy trying to pick everybody on the paved part and so on.
Cause like they've been,
Never were they ever
Yeah.
out there. We had some people burning over by the cemetery. They had a little fire and whatnot. Well, we can, it's many years ago.
Yeah.
Well, we can do this, so no, we can't. Put it out and get out of here. They threatened us. We called the cops.
Yeah.
By the time the cops got out there, nobody was there.
yeah.
That's
mean,
the
that's what we-
problem, if you call them and they're already gone.
Yeah,
But
well,
We-
it takes them forever to get out there.
We've appreciated, like they came out, they've set trailers, maybe not the, like to me, I think people,
Anywhere.
yeah, cause we
that
got
would
the,
have done it on either end of our road.
I mean, you're not the only one that,
Susan, no matter where we put it, there was a complaint that it wasn't in the right spot.
right,
We could move it every 10 feet.
we put it right by
It
people
just
that were
doesn't matter.
complaining
Because
very
I
heavily
know,
is where we
that's
had
the
to
thing,
put
is
it.
they do slow down by the time they get down to the
Yeah.
pave.
that's
Because
not
I do
what the,
think several of the
Yeah.
people,
that's not what the people that live down there say.
several
Right.
of the people,
Right.
several of the people that I think are doing the beating are from here.
Well, then you
Oh,
should
yeah.
recognize those
Yeah,
cars.
I come out of St. Paul Park on County 75, and I'm going 40, cars go by me over 50, and I know who they are. They're our own residents.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's not just,
But
There's
it's
not-
a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot.
I think it's a lot.
Can we, contact the sheriff's office and let them know that, what,
They're down there.
Yeah, I mean, they've done
They
this
have
stuff,
that
yeah.
And-
they have, when they got extra people, they're putting them down here.
Yeah.
Do they-
When have extra people.
Does the sheriff's department keep the data, so like, let's say you're calling, I get, you don't have a license plate or whatever, but like, do they have that log? So like, if we
We get it
keep
every
telling
month.
residents to keep calling, whether they catch somebody or not, it's like, if they're gonna see this pattern of 80 people called,
That's
In the
where,
We
month
get
of
it every
September.
month. We get a newsletter from the sheriff's department, every single month. It's on the website,
okay.
under About Us, under the sheriff's newsletter.
right, but it's not
We just
loaded
got
with a
on
bunch of
some-
complaints though.
They call it,
Like-
it logs complaints.
Right, but that's what she's saying, like, make sure you're calling, even though you don't think it's doing anything, at least it's like
I
recorded,
I
and
haven't
it
checked since
builds
we
a,
were in the
This is,
sheriff's
this is
department.
contact with a cop.
right,
The, most of these.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm saying if we funnel everybody there, it's gonna show in
We
the
never
data.
have contact with the cop. All we do is we call it in, nothing happens. We've been out there, we've been out here now 30 years. When the sheriff's department came in, they probably talked to a couple and they, oh yeah, we'll be out there. We just decided it's a waste of time because
And that's why we need the data to point to though, for our
we're
board
gonna wait
members.
until somebody dies or something bad happens.
I mean, there's nothing else we can, we put slower signs, you can only do so much, people choose to break
We
laws,
had some
whatever.
kids stop and we called the cops, it was the St. Paul Park. That cop worked there, but they were damaging, they were working over, they were on Fenfinger's property, they were on our property, and they were over on the cemetery. We called the cops, and it ended up that they basically said, oh, they didn't do anything wrong, because they talked to them. And we said other, and
Yeah.
was that St. Paul Park? Yep, that was when they were still in St. Paul Park.
Well, there's not really much else we can do with
no,
that, so.
everybody's got the
Keep-
same
keep
problem.
calling.
I don't care where you live, everybody's got the same problem. I don't care if you live in Woodbury or Hastings or Minnetonka or Orono or International Falls.
Not
I
on
mean,
Geneva.
Well,
Yeah.
if we would've done what we asked, we wouldn't have the problem.
What do you mean?
When we first bought the property, we only needed a small section, we wanted to stay closed off.
Closed off, yeah.
Well,
Oh, we got it closed off, and I can tell you what kids are doing at the end of our, we see people at the end of our, they all just
Yeah.
go, you know. I mean, if it's closed off right at a driveway, maybe it'd be better, but yeah. We've got the Reese property
Are
that,
you kidding? We picked up big plastic bags with dead dog in it, a freezer full of bad food that we found, that had been dumped out there. I mean, I can name you a zillion.
oh,
we got the same thing on Geneva.
oh,
I thought
yeah,
it was really fun. We were out helping clean up the ditches and whatnot.
yeah.
They blessed the playground full of them, not too far from our house.
all right, we're gonna continue on. So Patrick's is taking care of Freddie's. I know Pam, you sent an email to him. I mean, I think all we can really do is hope we get a response by next month, and if we don't, then we unfortunately probably have to send a code enforcement out or something.
And then,
Don't want to, but.
and then let him know that I think he needs two IUPs, or do you think he needs one? How you guys wanna handle that?
I had
Planning
a
Commission thinks
conversation,
two.
I had a conversation with planning commission, I recommended that, and maybe we could change our ordinance. I don't think anybody, I think it should be one IUP per a resident.
For a resident.
I don't, like, you can tie them together, like, that's my input. Maybe it
Okay.
doesn't read exactly that way, I can see how it reads as two separate businesses,
Yeah,
but I don't, like, it needs to be just reasonable, like,
I agree with you. I brought that up previously.
So maybe we need to reread, I mean, this is all new, we revamped it, maybe we need to make a couple corrections on it.
One thing I think I wanna say about that is if you have both of those IUPs together, they're two different businesses. What if one of them you get a complaint for,
That's
but
on
the other
him,
one is fine,
That's-
so now.
then he
that-
loses it both, that's on him as a
It
resident.
becomes null and void, both of them do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought of that too. If you don't behave on one,
Cause it's coming
and
out
they're
of,
both on one,
it's
he's.
coming out of the
It's
same.
more reason to do right, and any resident, I mean,
Right.
that's, we're reasonable, like, yeah. If you wanna have 6 cars out there all of a sudden, like, that's on you, and now you can't do your lawn mowing either, like, that's not unreasonable.
Why
Like,
don't you,
Okay.
Yeah,
I think people would be more appreciative to save the money versus,
absolutely.
like, I think it would overweigh it. You're either gonna do the right thing or you're not, so.
I was thinking of waiving the money and having two different ones.
hours could be different, like.
Well, that won't pass your commission.
They, it would
Yeah,
pass you,
right,
yeah,
well,
but they only pass
The answers
the
could be
approval.
really different. The answers on their little form could be very different, like the hours of operation for one could be completely different, so I don't know, I could see how two forms could be helpful, but
to me, the whole form thing started so that we would have knowledge of understanding of the business. It's not a Bible to, you know, it's just to get conversation going and understand and then be able to put little plugs in on what we think if we think outside the box of that.
So, you know, just for people that watch this at home, what this whole IUP thing is about is, and Freddie's got to understand this too, is all of our properties are zoned residential. Okay, that's the permitted use. If you want to, and there's certain uses you can do under residential. What he's doing, Freddie, and some others are outside of that. Well, we have these interim use permits we come up with so they could do these things. And then we can set conditions on them, put time limits in that. And if they don't behave and don't do what we want, we can revoke them. And every one we've written, we put in there. Maybe rescind it at any time by the board. We're gonna put that on every one of them. And the reason for this is, say somebody's, I'll use Freddie as an example. Say he's got one car out there. Well, he's got two, okay. Well, if we don't make him get an IUP, what happens to the guy that moves 3 houses down and he has 4 cars there? And we come to him and say, you can't have 4 cars. Well, wait a minute, this guy down the street's got 2 and you're letting him do it. Well, we're not letting him do it without an IUP. And it could be that with any of these businesses around here. This guy, what's the one that does the dirt work down here? Scholke.
Great Cloud
We gave him one. Well, as far as we know, his neighbors ain't complaining, we don't get any complaints on it. And he's got, I don't know, smaller trucks, smaller equipment, goes in and out of there. But we made him get an interim use permit in case all of a sudden, what if he decides to buy a Peterbilt and a 40-foot trailer and put a D6 cat on it and come back and forth. No, you ain't gonna do that in a residential area. Or what if his neighbor comes along and he says, well, you're letting him do this with small equipment, this and that, but I got the Peterbilt and the D8 cat and a trailer. No, well, you gotta let me, because you're letting him do it. Well, we're letting him do it with an interim use permit. If you wanna do it, you apply for an interim use permit. Chances are good he's not getting an interim use permit for a Peterbilt and a 40-foot trailer and a D5 cat on it. And in my opinion, you know, got in a little battle with the planning commission. Our job is not to harass people, pick them apart like a, you know, bunch of pigeons on a dead carcass. It's to try and help people. You know, that's what my philosophy is. Try and help them as much as we can, try and get them through the process, try and get them to comply, and if there's complaints, and deal with it. None of these people, there's been very few complaints that I know of, these ones up by the Y. Like Patrick here, I don't think we've had any complaints at all on Patrick. Freddie, in fact, it was brought up, he's got one of the nice looking yards up there. The only complaint I heard was his 2 cars parked out there, is people stop and look at him and park on the street, and some of the neighbors don't like it, who brings in that. Well, we never got that far last night, but I thought, well, maybe one of the suggestions for his IUP is, he put a little sign in the window of the cars, if you stopped here, park in my driveway. You know, I mean, just something like that. But we didn't get that far, Freddie didn't show up, Freddie was asked to show up tonight, Freddie ain't here. Like I say, I agree with Dan, I ain't opposed to putting them both on one IUP. He can fill out 2 forms, that questionnaire.
Yep.
And that questionnaire isn't the only thing we could ask for. I mean, we can ask other things. That's why we come up with the IUP. We can put stipulations on them, time limits, hours of operation, number of employees. We can do anything we want that doesn't match what's allowed in a residential property. So I would suggest we send Freddie a letter, go see if the other 2 agree. Tell him, we're happy with one IUP for what you got there, but send him a copy of Patrick's. So he's got an idea what we're looking for.
You okay with that, Patrick?
Well, he has to be, it's public record now that he turned it in. Tell him this is what we get from other people. Patrick filled out a real nice one, typed it out, you could read it. Freddie's don't need to be typed. Freddie gave one, everything in there was NA except one item, which I don't blame Eduardo for not being real thrilled about that.
So the only thing I'd say is, I think we should take this month and just reread our ordinance. And if we're gonna try and roll 2 in, then I think we need to have it match it in the ordinance, in our writing, just make sure that it's black and white legal way to do it, instead of just, having them, so just maybe it's wording of tied in per resident or something.
I don't wanna change.
I just
our-
I don't want battle with the planning commission. I want it to be crystal clear. I get we could override it, but that's not, to me, if we're gonna,
I've
create
been
something like
battling with them for a year.
I get that, but like the right way to do business is not.
Well, I don't wanna rewrite our zoning ordinance. That
No,
took 2
just the
years.
IUP.
Okay.
And maybe it's written in there that we can do that. I'll do it.
Well, basically, our zoning ordinance says these are the allowed uses in a residential area. Anything that isn't listed there, and there's not much listed there, you need an IUP. Doesn't say you need one, doesn't say you need two, doesn't say what you need it for. So I mean, we could,
We could just
we
add
could-
a
we
word
could
like
just- we-
not more than one issued per household or some stupid deal if we want. But yeah, if it's that gray too, we could
Yeah.
go that angle. I just wanna make sure, yeah,
Yeah.
so
we
that's fine.
kinda
Not really.
purposely left it a little, not black
Well, and
and
that's
white.
because we felt the need to let people, we don't wanna, here's black and white, all you can do. If you're creative and
Yeah.
people are happy, we wanna work with you, we want you
Yeah.
to succeed, so.
That's what the whole idea was when we created this thing.
Most of
was
the
to
stuff
work-
you're not doing in Cottage Grove or somewhere
Yeah,
else, so. it's
was to
pretty
work with the people, so.
good. All right. Any
That
comments?
sound
Phil?
good?
Nope,
That sound
I'm
good?
good, yeah.
What I suggested.
Do we need to
for
reach out or
Pam?
just see, cause Pam already reached out to him, so maybe we just wanna see if he touches back or something a little, yeah,
He wasn't asked to send a IUP for his car business.
yep.
So I'll reach out to him again and tell him what you guys discussed tonight and, send him a
Really?
copy of that and show him the type of answers we're looking for. And we hope to see him at the planning commission next month.
Okay,
And he already paid the money. He sent in $150.
Yeah. We can't expect him to pay another hundred and
So
fifty.
he's willing, he just,
Yeah.
he needs a little help.
We
yeah,
can't,
another wrench then, alright.
Yeah.
and we
so-
can't expect him to pay another hundred and fifty
No,
for
no,
another
no.
IUP. No.
Well, I didn't know he already, yeah, so he kinda maybe feels like he complied on his end and didn't understand the thing too.
I brought that,
Exactly.
I brought
Reach
that
out
up.
if you don't get
I
nothing.
reached out to him several times, explaining to him that he is required to be here
Yeah,
to answer questions, so we can't move forward without him.
alright, let me know
He knows that.
if we don't get some
Yeah.
stuff down there again.
You brought up the 150 was too high. I brought up lowering it to the planning commission and got chewed up by some junkyard dogs. They were not real thrilled with me.
I'm sorry, what was this?
I brought up lowering that fee down and none of the planning commissioners were real happy with me.
Just so
That
you
it
know,
was, that it was too much?
They didn't want it lowered.
See, it went from $25 to $150. Come on, you guys.
Well,
come January, you guys can revisit that.
yeah,
It has to be revisited
Yep.
every year, so I suggest you take a look at the fees now and get ready for some revisions.
and a lot of that, if you were to look into our budget, you'd be amazed how much from all the complaints, all the money we have to spend, it costs us all money. So everything that goes out, we don't get recouped when we have to constantly send code enforcement out and all that stuff, that eats up. So that, the whole reason for trying to redo the fees, $150 fee to run a business, you go to Cottage Grove, it's a hell of a lot more,
Well, then
heck
we
of a
need
lot
to
more.
see how many complaints compared to how much money is brought in every.
Well, we're making
every
very,
meeting.
it basically doesn't
We-
bring any money in, but that
we-
was like the idea behind it, because our budget wasn't budgeting in those areas.
Well,
But to run a business, Lynn, if you go try to do your business in Cottage Grove, if you could even do it, it'd cost you a lot more.
well, what I'm saying is, that could be a thing for the annual.
Yep.
You could show how many complaints, how much it cost, how much was brought in.
Yep.
And then you'll see, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
no,
just say,
yeah,
well, it,
yep.
you know, blah, blah,
I
blah,
can-
out of the air.
I can save you some time. We had one resident we dealt with up by the Y. We spent $6,500 on.
Oh my God.
Recoup,
That
recoup
wasn't a
nothing.
business.
Same type of thing.
No,
Code-
it's not.
Well, code
If we
violation.
had to go to court, it would be the same type thing.
It's not a business though.
It don't
You
matter,
guys
it's
are
a
looking- I'm talking about the business fee, the IUP, you're talking something.
I could tell you
over there.
that the IUPs we have, probably 3/4 of them or more, probably you wouldn't even be allowed to do it if you lived a mile further
That's
away.
not what I'm
Well,
saying. I
if you
want-
did,
I
we are
want a
so cheap.
comparison as to how much money was spent, enforcing businesses compared to how much the money that they paid in for their fee every year. And it'd be very
We're
simple to
getting,
do,
we're
it's not
getting,
that hard.
what are we getting? We got we're getting $1,000. We
Well,
could've
that's
knocked
not-
that off on the budget, Lynn, if you wanted.
Patrick,
It all goes to the same pot.
Patrick
Go ahead.
has
So
hand-
what I'm asking is impossible. You can't tell me how many violations and what it costs for the businesses per year and how much a business is paid. That's impossible?
No, all we're telling you is that the reason to raise fees is because they haven't been raised in 45 years, so they had
That's
a.
not what I'm asking.
It doesn't,
Lynn,
it
we're
doesn't
not
make,
understanding what you're asking.
Lynn, the money coming in for
I understand what
IUPs,
she's asking.
Lynn,
I know what you're
Lynn,
asking for.
Lynn, the money coming in from IUPs does not directly go to that. The reason IUPs come in for the filing fees, the other stuff just is what it is. It goes into the general fund. I shouldn't even said the word complaints then. We're just saying that.
I wanna know how much money it costs you for code enforcement on businesses and how much the businesses pay per year. It's not that hard.
We
That
have,
would be zero.
we have zero complaints on
Well, then,
businesses.
we're paying $150 times what?
Because we have a operating guide here to work off. So we have an IUP. If we have people doing stuff outside of it, maybe we'd have a lot more complaints.
No, that's not what I'm saying. It's too much. It's too much money.
So bring it to the planning commission and you can express your concerns about it at any time. When we do all this stuff, Lynn, you're,
Actually, they can't do anything about it.
but you could,
Government.
right, but you could address, like, we have, it's just like the speed bumps. We have an entire meeting we waste talking about speed bumps, and then a month later, we get somebody else that calls, it's like, this has been on the agenda, it's mute now because we agreed on it, like, all these things keep coming up. We had the whole discussion about rates, we had all that, nobody was here to say any different, and all the people that have IUPs, Mike Tipke, all them, Schulke, they were all very pleased to only pay $150 to run a business in this township.
Okay, all I wanna do is see how much was paid out in enforcement and how much was brought in. That's all I'm
But
asking.
it doesn't all matter about enforcement. This fee isn't for only enforcement.
It's for the general fund.
We
Well,
haven't-
that's not what I don't
we
care
haven't-
about the fee.
We have zero
I just-
complaints.
I
Zero
just wanna
complaints on
know
any businesses.
How much the complaints were worth and how much IUPs were brought
How
in.
many-
That's all I wanna
we're at
know.
So
Or
last
IUPs
year,
I don't care
last
about
year,
any
if
of
it
the other
was,
stuff.
if it was 8 businesses last
We
year,
haven't had to pay
25
out
bucks a
any
piece,
money on,
that would be what?
150.
$200 last year total if it was 8 businesses. We had no complaints, so expenses were zero. Revenue was $200.
That's what I
An
wanna know.
example
that was it, yeah.
Expenses weren't zero though, because.
on complaints, specifically
complaints.
complaints. But we have to keep a lawyer on retainer. We have to keep filing fees. There's other expenses to our township,
Pam.
not related to complaints. To your question,
Okay, but
Yeah.
that's just what I wanna know.
yeah, it's different.
I'm not talking about any of the other stuff. I
Yep.
just wanna know
We-
complaint costs versus IUP
Yep.
payments.
Yeah.
We really, yeah, to answer your question, the cost directly to the IUPs for enforcement was probably zero. But there are other costs associated
Yes,
with an
and I
IUP.
realize that.
Meaning the clerk's time and, and if you really got down to a detailed thing, we'd have to have Pam say, well, how much time do you spend? How much paperwork do you do? How many mailings do you send out? How much time do you spend emailing for these
Well, you
IUPs?
guys were just, I spent $16,000 on this guy here. It had nothing to do with IUPs.
Well, no, I was just
So-
giving you a thing, people
If you
want
end
us,
up in court, it costs a lot of money.
yeah, yeah.
One person that has an IUP that we end up having to take to court to close their business down would be way more than
And when does
8
that ever
times
happen?
an IUP. It hasn't happened, but it's a contingency, it could happen.
Ooh, you sound like Kamala now.
Could happen.
I think $150
Patrick?
is a steal.
We need
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
Well,
you.
well, that's,
If I get in my business here, I gotta rent space. 1 month's rent's gonna cost me 15 years of IUP.
and that's what other people have said too. They said, to be able to run a
We
little
appreciate
business out of your house in a residential area,
Yep,
it's
yep.
pretty minuscule, really.
In this.
Okay.
All right, we need a motion to adjourn this,
Well, no, we ain't done yet.
what?
Oh, you ain't done yet?
Well, how about complaints against Mr. Moe here?
Oh, that's right.
Tracy, got anything to say? All the complaints coming in on your property?
We're on a Tracy Mole.
Yeah.
We have 6 written complaints.
Tracy, did you get my email this morning?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh, you poor guy.
Well,
doesn't know
what
anything
I'd,
about it.
what I'd recommend is that he reads that, and there needs to be, in my opinion, complete change in the next 30 days. You have had 2 years of time, you made some progress, some great progress, and we were very reasonable instead of just putting the hammer down. And we worked with you, but the last 6 months, we've basically seen nothing going on, and now we have neighbors complaining again, and more stuff showing up in trucks and different things. So, read through the email that Pam sent you, That's my recommendation. And then we drove down the cul-de-sac, checked things out. We're gonna drive down it next month. And we owe your neighbors a lot of cleanup. Like, it can't drag on. We have responsibility around here. So,
I'll send in a bill that you had $11,050.
so we don't, and for 2 years, we listened to all that. We're done listening to that. Like, that's great. It costs you, like, you know, it is what it is. We need results. So your neighbors have had to deal with this for over 2 years and a lot longer. It's time to just get stuff cleaned up around there and stop bringing more stuff in. Like, we don't wanna have to clean it up. We don't wanna have to levy you. We don't wanna have to do any of that. We've made that very clear over the last 2 years. But now it's 30 days. We sent you an email today. It's written out there. There's some things to address in it. Get active before the snow flies here so we don't have to do anything else.
Bring up the dog, bring up his
And
dog.
then, yeah, and then, do you have a dog? You have your German Shepherd?
Yes, so just,
So, did you,
put in a license.
you got the license? Okay, and then you,
Just tonight.
okay, so that's good, thank you for doing that, and then you know the rules, like they can't roam outside your yard or any of that stuff? So if residents, they've been, you know, if your dog's at roam, people are gonna call animal control, and that, you know, it's your responsibility as a dog owner to make sure it stays in your yard, it's not chasing people doing any of that, we don't wanna have any of that stuff going on.
We had the residents call us about the dogs, 2 different residents, and what we told them, don't call us, just call animal control. That's kinda out of our realm, we're not the dog catcher. Me or Pam or Phil or Dan ain't gonna go down and grab the dog and bring him home. We're gonna send animal control over, they get a hold of the dog, animal control hauls it in, and you got a bill.
I wasn't aware that the dog was a problem, it sticks around the house and let it out.
Well, he evidently goes to the neighbors, so. Like Dan said, we've been more than lenient with you on all your collectibles there for the last 75 years. And, you know, just because you got them back away from the street where they were less visible, that doesn't mean it's cleaned up. And like I drove down there today and, you know, actually, believe it or not, all that wood that's piled out there, all that wood that's dumped toward the end of your driveway or whatever it is, that's actually a code violation if we want to get nasty. And there's all kinds of stuff around there that are code violations if we want to get nasty. We don't want to get nasty, we want voluntary compliance. But I'll tell you this, we had the same problem with that guy up by the Y. He wouldn't comply, this went on, and we did spend $6,500 on him, reluctantly. And if you don't clean it up, your neighbors deserve to live next to somebody that really doesn't have all the stuff you have in your yard there. And if you force us to, we will have to do the same thing to you as we did to Mr. Kulo. And I don't think you want that, because you end up in court and the judge tells you, you do this, you do that, and if you don't do it, you get a fine. And what happened on the other guy is he ended up writing the township out a check, and he had so long to clean it up, or we could use that money to clean the place up. We don't really want to go back into that, because really, it costs us money. We don't make money on it. So get after it, clean it up, quit hauling more junk home. So, is that clear enough? I mean,
Yeah, that's clear. I wasn't aware that, there was problem with wood because of heat with wood in the winter. And, I've seen a number of people with piles of
Tracy,
wood.
we're not getting into this stuff. We did this the whole last
Yeah.
spring of, I got wood laying on the ground that's gonna build a fence in 30 years, whatever. We're not doing any of that. We went through all that, so
All
it's,
that's gone for.
and, yeah, we're just not making excuses anymore. So we appreciate the cleanup you were doing in the spring, the progress you had made. Let's get after that again, and then stop with the extra stuff coming in there. Like, it's not,
One of the town board meetings, Paul Shernick said he viewed the property, and I thought everything was okay, the way he talked.
you know, we
who was
just,
down there?
Paul Shernick.
Paul,
Oh, Paul Schonecker. Oh,
no, we got complaints again, and so we got fair, let's get after it, right? You'll check the email, read it.
I'll check it.
Okay, now let's just go through it and let's make some progress this month. And then anything close to your neighbors, anything close to the road, start there, get cleaned up, and then work your way back. Anything else?
I just got one other thing, just for residents' personal, I'll read off this tax thing.
Since we passed
Next year, you will see an increase in your taxes next year. After we did the budget, which we did earlier tonight, But I just want you to know the difference between us and the other communities. I did my house for 2024. The house has got a valuation on it of, where is it on here? Market value. Bear with me a minute here.
Just tell them what your taxes are.
Yeah, I'll just tell you. Oh, $673,000. Okay. In Gray Cloud, the Gray Cloud portion of my property taxes are $1,213. If I lived in Cottage Grove, that portion would be $2,031. If I lived in St. Paul Park, that amount would be $2,305. So run it by you again. In Gray Cloud, it'd be $1,213. Cottage Grove would be $2,031. St. Paul Park, $2,305. And it's just for informational purposes. Like I say, just so people are aware, there will be a bump next year. Nobody was here for that budget meeting, but the biggest reason is for roads.
Do I get a discount? Because they're not doing my road that much,
Yeah,
if at all.
no, nobody's,
Give her a discount.
Thank you.
She gets gravel and regraded.
yeah, we,
Not
You want
that-
more boulders? We can drop some more boulders off.
But we've almost lost our axle a couple of years.
All right, can we get a motion to adjourn?
anything else? I make motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye. Yeah. What's that?